Welcome back. Now it is time for the interview or discussion segment. Like I always love to say, today is Wednesday. We're talking about social issues and everything revolving around social impact. Today we'll be talking about social storytelling, telling stories for social impact. For some people, they tend to create content or tell stories majorly for entertainment, for some for education, for some people to chase clout, just basically different reasons for storytelling. But then there is something called social storytelling. So we want to know what it is about social storytelling. What exactly is it? How do you tell stories for social impact? How do you tell stories for social change? And I will not be doing, or rather, I will not be doing this alone. We have a guest who will be joining us via Skype to do this with us. It goes by the name Timilehin Oluwadairo, also known as Timod Mowale. He's also a podcaster and a digital media enthusiast. He will join us via Skype. Welcome to the show. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. How do you do today?
Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, so on social storytelling, I'm sure, we're talking about this topic. Many people do not know what exactly it means. They're like, okay, is there another thing? Is there something called, social storytelling? Is there something like telling stories for social change? So what exactly is, what exactly is social storytelling? What does it mean in layman's terms?
In layman terms, I would just say it's about documenting the happenings in the society in the visual or any form. It's not only in visual form, right? We have it in books, we have it in audio recording. So social storytelling is just bringing to reality those things that are happening in the society and relating it it can be through a drama. Let me just say, the best way that the target audience can understand it.
To the more personal side, of this topic. So why, for you, how did you start up, telling stories for social change? How did you start up, majorly focusing on a story that has to do with, changing Africans' narrative? Because I know that for a while you did something on, changing the narrative about Africa and all of this. And so what exactly inspired, what exactly, put you on that journey up until what you're doing now?
Actually, for me, it's really personal for me because one of the things that transformed my life was storytelling. I could remember that a lot of people speak about success, about how great Africa can be, but I could hear them, but I didn't really understand it until I started seeing the result in forms of story, where I started reading books, biography, where I saw people telling the story of how they became something out of nothing. And it really came as an evidence. The popular saying that they explain without evidence. So storytelling comes as an evidence to explain principles and reality of either a personality or a culture. So how did I come about documenting stories? What I do majority of my podcast, Talk with Osemudiame, is just to document stories, to make people see the reality in things that we speak about. When we talk about Africa, we can talk about it that they are known for Yahoo Yahoo, but we have a lot of them on Forbes. We have a lot of them being a CEO of a startup. They are doing great things, and hearing from them became a thing of urgency for me. That was what came about me documenting their story on my platform. When people can really see the reality of what they went through to become. We can say, I can just come up and say, do you know a lot of people are doing great things in Africa? Do you know a lot of Nigerians are on Forbes list? I be like, they are. But when I play their video for you, of them relating with you, how they made it, and how they were able to move from zero to hero, I know you kind of have a way it's going to connect with you and make you see that indeed, if they can do it, then I'll be able to do it. So storytelling for me is just a way of reflecting to a society what can be indeed if they set on things in line. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Timilehin, for that. You know, you as a storyteller, what are the challenges that you faced, you know, in this line of field when you want to in changing narratives, changing ideologies of specific places, especially your work based on Africa? Can you, you know, explain and share with us some challenges that you think that you face in this industry?
When we talk about challenges, I think one of the challenges will be the audience. The audience wants to be entertained. The audience wants creativity. So they don't care about the quality of the content or the story about to tell them, because they just care about what will solve their problem at the moment. Even though they do, just like this drug, you know, when we have drugs, we have the sour drug or bitter drugs, like malaria drugs that are bitter. Then we started having drugs that are inside capsule just to encourage people to take it. So the challenge is how you can selling this thing to them, so that because it's something they need. So the part where you have to sit down with your team and think of the best way to package the story you just documented and sell to your audience that really needs it. I would say that's one of the most challenging things, and it just challenge us to tell the story in the best way. Thank God for people in the Nollywood industry. I think they are doing a lot of great jobs too. A lot of us are now having interest in watching this movie where they tell stories that can inspire us. So it's not just about me. I'm just a fraction of the people documenting the story that will transform Africa. Different people. In the space are doing a great job. We have Kune Afunayo, we have Kemi Adetiba are doing great work in documenting. You want to tell the youth that Kemi Adetiba just released the movie and they'll be glad to watch. And it's going to be a compilation of story that will transform your life and will make you rethink how you can progress in life. So I think it's a great thing that the audience is challenging us in the way we have to package the story we are documenting so it can be appealing to them.
Thank you so much on that. So now moving on to you talked about it, the major challenges, how to put up the stories that you've documented or that you've created in the best way possible, you know, to drive the interest of people who would want to see it or would want to listen to it, whether it's in audio or video format. Now, let's talk about the element of, you know, the story. Now, let's take, for example, someone who is creating content or telling stories for entertainment or probably just a skit. It's very easy for them to say, okay, I have an idea in my mind. I think I need 2 actors. They come act and then you just act something funny. I don't think, of course there has to be effort, but maybe not so much effort that we put into it because it's just a skit and then they want to make everybody laugh. But then now let's move on to this aspect of storytelling, this aspect of creating content. What are the elements that you apply? What are the elements in this aspect of storytelling? You have an idea, you know, okay, I want to interview this person. This person is, of course, this person is a popular person in this industry, or this person is much popular, and you know it's not easy to come by, and then you finally fixed a date to have an interview with that person or to ask questions with that person. So what are the major things you put in place? Can you just give us like a rundown of everything, every element that has to be checked, you know, to make sure that the story comes out in the best possible way ever?
All right, thank you so much for that question. That's an interesting question because I'm privileged to interview some of the most celebrated young Nigerians. So you don't want to make them feel like them granting your interview. You don't want them not to feel important, or you don't want them not to feel celebrated. So a lot of things have to really go in place. And the first thing is getting this people is not so. Let me just say it's difficult. We have to send a lot of mail, compelling them, making them see what you want to achieve. That I don't just want to associate with you because you are celebrated, because you are a star, or because you are this. I'm associating because I believe you have something that everyone out there needs, and I need to document that to them. And that have been of the basics of me. Whenever I want to share a mail, or whenever I want to send a DM, to these people. You know, I had this in my head. I never want to. The real deep secrets I pull up when I want to reach out to these people. I'm going to sell it as a master class, but I feel like I can share somewhere. So I think if you have interest in something like this, one of the basic things you have to do is to have a compelling. Nobody wants to ask. Every big man or woman are busy. So but if you give them should I say, the importance of what their presence will do, the results their presence and them documenting their story can do in changing society, I think most of them will appreciate that. So if you ask me, try, what are the things I put in place? Number one thing is to send a mail, tell them the purpose of the conversation and why I want to document their story. And the next thing is for me to actually fix the dates that will be convenient with them, and also is the most important part of it, marketing, after you are done documenting story. Because the purpose of documenting the story is not just for you to feel like a star that, oh, I have associated with this man, I have associated with that man, I have a relationship with that man. The purpose is to make people eager to converse, not to converse, rather to listen to these stories that can have a change in their mentality. And I want to use the religious word of man. There have been a lot of testimony around this, and you can't really, should I say, you can't really imagine how stories can really change life. And indeed, I'm a believer. I'm one of the advocates that believe that storytelling is one of the ways to which we can really transform our society. Mm-hmm. I want to extend. One of the things I've learned again is I've not read a lot of the Quran, but I've read a bit of the scriptures, and you see even the Rabbi, Master Jesus, when he wants to teach people about a particular subject, he comes in with storytelling. This is to show how much people can relate with a particular information. When you arrange it, stories that they can be familiar with, using the elements that are around them. Imagine you are talking to farmers and you want to teach them the principle of consistency. You want to teach them the principle of the principle of effort. It's just easy to tell. If you tell them put effort to this, it's just easy to tell them that it's just like planting. It's just like a man planting a seed in the soil and watering it and waiting for this. It's easy for them to understand it when you put it in that storyline. Your principles will really get to them easily, and transformation is really possible through that method. Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Moving now to a more specific view about this topic, still on social impact, still on social change. Many people say, oh, we tell stories. Many organizations, in fact, can come out to say, oh, we want to put out a video, or want to put out something that relates to maybe they carried out a project and it's on on a social impact program, and then they want to put out a video and they put, just basically put out all of these things. For some of them, it might mean that they are doing it, like you said. For some people, they feel like, oh, it's because I've associated with this person. That's why, when people might want to watch my content or want to associate themselves with me, because I know they feel like I know this because you know this person. That means that in somehow, some way, there's a connection that they feel like they also know the person on a closer view. And then another thing is, I had a discussion with somebody, and then the person was saying that many people do not like to share their stories. Many people don't like to share the things that really that are really personal to them, especially things that they've barely talked about when it comes to their popular lifestyle or their celebrity lifestyle. They will always want to talk about it because it's personal to them, and it makes them feel vulnerable having to talk about all of these things. So how well have you been able to basically dissolve that aspect of them, to open up their minds and to open up their hearts, to really speak whatever it is that is in their mind and basically pass knowledge? Because one thing for me is, I think if for people who are high up there, if knowledge is not passed on to the younger generations, somehow we are somehow, some way rather, we are taking up the knowledge. The knowledge gap is closing in you know, in a fast manner, in a fast way. So how have you been able to open up, you know, to make them feel comfortable with you in a way that your questions will not look like, oh, you're just asking them questions to drive traffic to your page, or to drive traffic to whatever it is, to where it's your platforms, basically. Well, how do you get them to trust you in a way that they really open up to pass knowledge to those who would listen to it, and also in a way that, you know, the listeners now would be more empathic towards these people that you are interviewing?
Right. I'm laughing because I'm always privileged also whenever I'm conversing with these people that I really need them to share their story with us. And I could remember clearly a lot of them to speak about this exactly that, wow, they've never spoken like this before in an interview. A lot of them have commended the kind of questions I asked them. But I think one of the strategies I used is to come from the place of we have this need, and we experience this kind of challenge when we go through this path. It's this kind of need. We want to know if you have ever gone through that kind of path and how we're able to overcome that kind of path. So it's coming from the place of we have a challenge, and I'm representing, or I'm coming from the place of the average youth out there. I'm coming as the voice of the average youth out there. And this is the kind of, okay, let's use an example. I'm an artist, and I have the struggle of getting a good record label to sign me. All of the offers I'm seeing are terrible offers, and I don't know how to go about it. Was there any time in your life you went through a path like that, and how were you able to overcome that challenge? So coming from the part of what you're about to tell me is about to meet a need, and save a boy or a girl out there that is passing through a challenge. I think you feel honored to share what you feel, what you are sure is important to meet that kind of need and save someone out there. So those kind of deep questions come from the narration of the need that is present in the society. So I approach them most times in that way, and they are always glad and always most times sincere in answering that question.
All right, thank you, Timilehin. You know, when we started this interview and going back earlier into this interview, we spoke about the challenges that you have and saying about the audience, and majority of them only being interested in the entertainment part of the storytelling. So my question now is, storytelling based on societal issue and, you know, norms and other things that are not entertainment based released, how do you push these contents? You know, how do you create awareness for it to be able to pass the message that you want to pass across to the public?
I think one of the good ways, if the face you are using, that's why most people, even in Nollywood, use some of the faces you are familiar with. I'm on the project currently outside media, and one of the things we are looking at is leveraging influence of people that the audience are familiar with, and using them as a channel in delivering the message. So one of the ways you can target your audience is to get influencers. Not influencers. When I mean influencers, I don't just mean social media influencers. I mean people this audience respect or honor or listen to, and get those people acknowledge your content and present it to them. They most likely are going to accept it and find it or take it as a value, because it is coming from an influence they respect so much. So that is one of the ways you can get it to them. And another way is to set a tone that they will be eager, that will make them eager to watch it, just like trailers, movie trailers. So set a tone that might interest them so much in the language. If you watch a lot of podcasts out there, one of the really easy ways to catch these audiences is to cut excerpts of where it's catchy to them, what you feel, even if that's, that the whole story might not be what they want to listen to, but it's important to them. So one of the ways is to catch thrillers or excerpts that will be attractive, so attractive to them. Another way is, should I say, rigorous marketing. What people see often, they said so someday probably succumb to at least giving it attention. So it depends on your budget and how creative and the best method you find easily accessible to you. I think that will really help you pushing this story and breaking this barrier of reaching the target audience that really needs this storytelling or content that you are creating or you have worked on.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Let's talk about the financial aspect of all of this. It's very easy for someone who says, okay, I have a business and I'm selling this, and then the person gets the money and gains profit out of whatever he or she's selling. But now when it comes to storytelling, especially in this aspect of storytelling, or this aspect of of what you do, it's many people do not talk about the financial cost that goes into production, the financial cost that goes into having to push out all of this content so more people can see it and more people can just watch all of this. So how do you factor in your cost and how do you make profits? Or first of all, do I need to ask, okay, is it a for profit or a not for profit kind of system? But then even at that, of course, you still have some sort of cost that you have to incur. So how do you bring all of this together to make sure that you do not run at a loss, or you are at least break even when it comes to production?
I think it's a thing to be a storyteller rather. It's a thing to have passion to document stories, and it's a thing to see it that to make this thing sustainable, to make your passion sustainable, finance is involved. So it's a different talk entirely of how you can sit down and ensure that this thing, I love it, I'm passionate about it. So you don't have to run away from the fact that how can finance come from this thing? Though it's not a profit-oriented pathway, but it's a passion. But for it to sustain, finance is important. So thank God for easy way is thank God for platforms that are rising. If you are lucky enough to get your content on Netflix or Prime Video or other digital outlets like that, you are blessed. But we have a platform that is out for everyone out there. YouTube is a very good way to monetize your content. And as a creator, you must understand that there are seasons. There are seasons where you have to sow, and there are seasons where you have to reap. Just like any business, just like any startup. So you must have this understanding. Like at the beginning, finance might not come from production. A lot of this, you might have to use a lot of friends and family. I remember when I started, always a trouble for me that I'm about to interview, especially when it is virtual. I have to travel, and I was not with a very good job then, but I was still passionate about this. I have to call friends and family and gather here and there before I finally got. I was finally able to get a stable source of income that was able to fund the project. So I think it's good as a creator that you have all this for you to fund your project. Because starting off, you might not easily might not be privileged to get funds that will sustain your business. So how can you sustain your business or finances? Partnership or collaboration is also very important. I'm working with someone on how to start up on documenting stories about tech and how getting the real story about tech, how people are missing it in tech, just stories around tech. And I was like, oh, this is going to take a lot of funds. So what do? I just went up and meet with a friend that's into tech and is into the tech world, and I requested for a collaboration, and he was up to it. So I think that will also help. If you are not someone that feels, if you are not paranoid, I think you will share your idea with someone, they will see it. So I think collaboration will help you relieve the burden of finance on you as a content creator, as a storyteller. So look out for collaboration, look out for opportunities. there are a lot of opportunities out there. There are a lot of companies, a lot of brands that are giving grants for storytellers. Storytellers have become people that are valuable in society. A lot of people are really organizations important that you look out for opportunity out there. Don't just stick to yourself. So, and it's important for you to find yourself in a community of creators and storytellers. And this will also help you learn from them how they fund their dreams and a lot of things. So just be open to see opportunity, be open to learn, be open to know what's up in your industry. Money can be made in this industry actually.
Thank you so much. We're actually running out of time, and would like to end the show, the interview segment here. But before we do that, just one last question to round it up. And in 1 minute, you just answer the question in 1 minute. Why is it important, or can you tell us why it is important to tell stories for social impact or social change, just basically to change the view about, or to change the orientation of people when it comes to certain things, or when it comes to certain standards that have been set in the society? Why is it important to make sure that storytelling can drive a change when it comes to changing cultures, changing standards, changing very informal or unofficial rules that has been set in the society?
It's important because people can emotionally connect to what the message you're trying to pass. They can see either the effect or the consequence, and they can see it pictorially, like with the picture. It makes them emotionally connect, and anytime human beings are emotionally connected to a cause, it tells of transformation is around the corner. And I think storytelling is one of the easy ways to make people have an understanding about a subject. You can tell them that people are dying every day. It just sounds like people are dying every day, but you show them a picture of what death looks like, the pain people go through while dying for this cause. I think it's a clear understanding. So it's important to tell stories about social change because it gives people the reality touch, one, and it gives a clear understanding about the subject, which can really drive them to move for the change.
Thank you so much for doing this with us. Thank you so much for your time. I've learned a lot, and this conversation was very much insightful. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Yeah, so we hope that when we call again, you'll definitely be on the reach out and you will answer us.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed this conversation, and I'm privileged to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, bye. And yes, that's all we have for you on the interview segment. Our guest has mentioned that collaboration is a major tool to advance when it comes to use rather when it comes to social storytelling, especially if you do not have the funds for it. And it is very much important that stories are shared on social issues. Stories are shared basically for social impact because people can connect emotionally when it comes to stories. People can see videos and they can also hear from the mouth of those one or two or three people who have been affected by social issues that has been happening in the society at large. So if you can and if you want to be a storyteller in this aspect, it is very much important that you go out there, ask questions a lot, connect with your with people you want to speak to, make sure that they trust you and they're comfortable speaking up and opening up to you. I'm sure you've learned this and more than enough from our guests. We're going to short break to be back with Daybreak Africa. Do stay with us.